All right, so here's Trump outside this thing. This is where he threatens Elon Musk about this. Yeah,
I think it's going to be great.
On his way to like asshole Alcatraz.
And then I'll be back here fighting for the bill, and I hear it's going okay. We'll move it along. But we'll be back here pretty early.
What do you think the president on the bill? You've been warning some Republicans.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna also. I hate the fucking sound on this. But I'm gonna turn on the closed captions in case anybody you can't hear those guys.
Too crazy with the cuts. Are there parts of the bill or amendments that you think cut too much?
We're going to have to see the final version. No, I don't want to go too crazy with cuts. I don't like cuts. There are certain things that have been cut, which is good. I think we're doing well. We're going to have to see. It's very complicated stuff. Great enthusiasm, as you know.
No, there isn't. There's not great. Okay, let's just knock off the bullshit. There's no great enthusiasm for anything where you've got a 50-50 vote and the VP has to cast a tie-breaking vote. That's not something Democrats could say when Kamala Harris had to do it, and it's not something they could say when J.D. Vance does it. And if either side is like, fuck yeah, and high-fiving about a 50-50 split where the VP had to come in, check yourself. Make sure you understand, even if you think your ideas are better, you have not convinced enough people that they are. You have not done the work. And this whole thing, like, there's super enthusiasm for this. If there was, you'd have Democrats signing onto it. But you don't. And you don't even have all Republicans.
And I think in the end we're going to have it. What do you think, Caroline? Yeah, I think
What do you think about Joe Ryan, Mom Dobby, having such a hard time?
Jesus Christ. Sorry about that, too. That's a rough one. God damn. It's weird. It's like, it's waggy. I don't know what he was wearing before this or whatever. I feel like, is this what happens when he has a tie on and then he takes it off?
Condemning the phrase globalize the intifada.
He goes, he's talking about Mamdani not decrying the phrase globalize the intifada.
I think he's terrible. He's a communist. The last thing we need is a communist.
Well, I would disagree. I mean, I think maybe the second to last thing. I mean, obviously, I don't know, maybe even a Satanist, probably. Like a genuine one, not the fuck around ones on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something worse, right?
I said there will never be socialism in the United States. Now we have a communist. So I think he's bad news. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money.
Also, I don't know what the fuck that means. He's got to come right through this doorway to get his money. Like, the mayor of New York, get his money? No. You're not going to use federal dollars to do free, public transportation in New York. That will be completely on the voters of New York City. That's the ice skate uphill that he's going to have to do. Now, what they might try to do is cut other funds to New York, because that's what allows them to free up local tax dollars to do the stuff that he wants. So that's how they'll start choking New York to try and stop these things from being successful. And again, it's going to take 4 to 6 years for whatever Mamdani puts in place in New York to actually stand on its own and show function and worth. And they know that, so they can just chip away at it forever, use him as a fucking piñata.
And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people of New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist.
What do we have before? Where they're just like, you mean an overt communist? I don't think he's an overt communist, though. I don't know. Again, this is when, if you want social services or you want a social safety net, suddenly you're a fucking communist. Even though if you vote for him and you vote to allow the taxes to go that way, that's not communism. That's just democratic taxation, no matter what the fuck you want. Because believe me, to be a full-on communist in this situation, if you open these grocery stores, let's say in New York, that he wants to do, New Yorkers would have to be forced to rotate through working in them to be communism. They'd have to be city-run. This is the socialism part of it. But they'd have to be available to everybody to be socialism instead of just a welfare store, essentially. Like with goods instead of money. Effectively, you're just taking welfare and turning it into a directive. You can only, instead of giving you money to buy whatever you want, and you could argue that what Mamdani is talking about in terms of having city grocery stores is the same thing that Joe Manchin was saying about if you give the child tax credit to certain people, they'll just spend the money on drugs. They won't take care of their kids. You're better off starting a school and paying for that with taxpayer dollars, where the kids can go and you know how it's run. So Mamdani is basically saying if you give poor people money of their own, they'll spend it on alcohol and drugs. But if you have a grocery store and an EBT level grocery store, we can guarantee the substance of what they're selling. So think of Bloomberg's like soda tax that he wanted to do about healthcare and stuff. Mamdani's not that far from it. It's just another package. So, and again, not communism, not really socialism, just social safety net and the management of tax dollars.
He wants to operate the grocery stores, the department stores.
No, he doesn't. He wants to. You could still have grocery stores and department stores, but the city would provide certain ones, like that would be the EBT level, instead of people taking their EBT cards, I would presume, and going to bodegas and where it's largely junk food and shit like that. But like full on grocery stores that would have a healthier selection is the assumption.
What about the people that are there?
What about the people that are there? All the people that are going to get fired because they're competing with a free grocery store. You mean the people that won't take EBT anymore because they've got EBT stores? So all the grocery stores that aren't these special ones will be like when hospitals opt out of Obamacare or Medicaid. That's what it's going to be. They'll have the option to do that because you can't force somebody to take stuff that isn't reimbursed money. And if they drive they'll have more price flexibility than the EBT places. Because like most grocery stores have fluctuating prices through the day. You don't know that because you don't hang out in a grocery store all day. None of us do. But if you work in one, the prices are different in the morning or the afternoon. That's why we always see somebody walking around putting prices on shit. And that's the same box that was there earlier. Or they have those little tags in there because around evening when people are driving home, they put out the things that, the 2-for-1s on breakfast stuffs because people are buying for the next day.
I think it's crazy.
That's because you're stupid. Yeah. Because you can't comprehend reality at all.
What happened to Elon Musk?
Who?
What happened to Elon Musk?
What happened to Elon Musk?
Nothing. He's upset he's losing his EV mandate, and he's very upset about things, but he could lose a lot more than that. I can tell you right now.
Hey. This is where he switches into gears and talks like he talks in the White House as the dipshit mad with power that he is.
Elon can lose a lot more than that.
Yes, he can lose a lot more than that and still be the richest man in the world. I honest to God, motherfucker, I don't think he's worried. He also knows all the hackers. Like, that's why people were concerned about him getting his Doge assholes in all these places. Do you understand the genuine fear that people felt about Elon Musk having access to their social security number and their private health information and all that shit? The reason they were worried is because the team he's got with him knows what the fuck they're doing. They're not a bunch of blathering dipshits or like narcissistic racists like Stephen Miller or dopey motherfuckers like Hegseth. The team that Musk brought in are young and full of shit, but on a technical level, they know what they're doing. That's why there's legit concern there. Now, I'm all for him being the target of that anger and not me. And I will say there's a very strong chance that Anonymous is going to start getting files magically from a lot of different places. Because they know people who know people who know people.
We hope it's going to happen, and we're looking forward to happen sometime next week.
I think he's talking about an Iran talk or whatever.
We want to get our hostages back. We want to get the hostages back.
What if the big beautiful bill doesn't pass? You have to go through item by item by item and pass this stuff one at a time, or are you just going to try again?
I think we're going to get there. It's tough. We're trying to break it down so it's really good for the country. Trying to get a lot for everybody. And it's a big bill. And smaller bills would have been easy, but they wouldn't have been as good. I think it's going to do okay.
And what the alligator Alpha says.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's going to alligator act. So the big bill, he thinks smaller bills would be harder to do, but a big, beautiful bill is better, mainly because you can bully one vote. If he had to bully 12 votes, he does not have the political capital to do it. This is their one swing for the fences. He's going to spend all of his capital. They view this as their ACA. Right? And remember, when we tell everybody about the people that are going to die because of this and all that, as legitimately as we're all talking right now, what they hear is the same thing we heard when they said there were going to be death panels because of the ACA. They're totally blowing it off. And the ones that do believe it, like the Mike Lees of the world, honest to God, they view these people as expendable. There's a big chunk of Americans that are just taking up space. In their mind, a lot of them are immigrants who are taking Medicaid and that, or getting Social Security benefits or some shit like that. Or even first generation Americans who they view as new immigrants, not the immigrants that came in with legs, but like, one generation away, and those people they view as equally cheating and stealing from the system as people who snuck across the border. So they want to rescind a lot of that. That's what the birthright citizenship is about. Is that they think they can help with the solvency of Social Security over time if they eliminate this large group of people that they perceive as getting all this stuff for free from the taxpayer, when it doesn't even fucking make a dent. But that's the lie they're telling themselves. So as much as we're pointing out everything that we're pointing out, what they're hearing is death panels, and they're shrugging it off as well.
The idea that if some illegal immigrant escapes, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something?
I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If the snakes are fast.
Oh, this is is the point that if they try to run, they'll be eaten by an alligator or a snake.
But alligators, we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%. Okay? Not a good thing.
Also, Trump has a drastic fear of having to run. I mean, you've seen Biden, even at his advanced age, riding a fucking bicycle. He also, if you'll see him chug sometimes, like he'll walk like that, Trump never does. Even when he's dancing, his feet are locked. If you'll notice, none of his dancing involves footwork because he's afraid he will fall down. Every ramp he sees scares him. He is terrified of stairs now, largely because of ego. He's afraid that after how much he made fun of Biden, his one slip on the steps so far has been making the rounds and continues to bring joy to people like us every day. But like he knows there's another slip in his future because he's staring down the barrel of decrepit old age and a fading brain, and he knows it. So there are little stories when he starts to tell him where he tells on himself, where he's definitely talking about the idea of running to him is terrifying. That's why he said it only increases your odds 1%. That's because he can't even jog back and forth, much less run in a straight line. He just knows that if an alligator came for him, it's all done.
What are you going to talk to Netanyahu about next Monday?
What are you going to talk to Netanyahu about next Monday?
Coming here, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about the great success we had. I mean, we had an incredible, in Iran, we had an incredible success, like really nobody's had in many, many years. That was a precision war strike, and the word obliteration can now be used because...
No, it can't.
The Atomic Energy Commission said you can't even get into the place. It was...
Yeah, asshole. We're making the case that those three places you hit were not the only places they had this stuff. And if they truck the stuff out, who gives a fuck how hard you hit an empty building? If you only hit 50% of the shit because they removed 50%, then no matter what you did to the building, if you vaporized the fucking thing with a Jewish space laser, from a cannon mounted on the fucking moon, it wouldn't matter to the program itself. If the stuff still exists and the triggers still exist and they have access to ballistic missiles through Pakistan or Russia, which they do, both of those countries have said so, then then nothing has been obliterated. You can argue that it hasn't even been paused, that they are really accelerating, if anything.
Demolished. It was really demolished.
Yeah, nobody cares if the building was demolished, if the shit wasn't in there when it was demolished.
It was a great, brilliant strike, and how to go forward. We're also going to talk about Gaza. We want to get the rest. We got a lot of hostages.
You hear that? We got to get the rest.
Go forward. We're also going to talk about Gaza. We want to get the rest. We got a lot of hostages back, but we're going to talk about Gaza.
Does that sound like a two-state solution? Hashtag uncommitted? Does that sound like he's committed to stabilizing Gaza and turning it into a second state for the Palestinians where they can govern themselves? Or does it sound like our priority is getting the hostages out, alive or dead, and we got to fuck that place up until we do? Because I guarantee that's what he and Netanyahu are talking about. All that shit about he didn't visit Netanyahu and he was, tepid in his support of Israel at one point turned out to be complete horseshit. We bombed Iran, a sovereign country, which we haven't done since fucking Iraq. Because even in Afghanistan, we went after training camps, and the Taliban wasn't a recognized government. Iraq had a recognized government. As awful as it was the actual government of the fucking country. Same thing about Iran. Also, do we have a Democratic president that's done that? Anyone since? Especially that a country that wasn't, say, in a civil war and we picked a side or something like that? Chat room, check me on this. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it is bullshit. I'm trying to think if a Democratic president has bombed a sovereign country's own facilities as opposed to not in response to something, but directly just on behalf of another country in the last 40 years. Iraq had invaded Kuwait, right? That would be, they were slant drilling into Kuwait, and then this dust up happened, and on behalf of Kuwait, we attacked Iraq on their behalf, and that would be George H.W. Bush. Then, Serbia and Kosovo were a split country and non-recognized governments, right? So that's Clinton. That's not the same thing as attacking, say, the Capitol buildings of a recognized capital or something like that. And then we get, of course, Bush 2, and that was Iraq and Afghanistan. And then again, Biden and Obama both hitting places like Houthi-controlled territories of Yemen, but not stuff that's the Yemeni government has control of, or same thing with Syria. But then Trump comes in and hits Iran. Right? Yeah, Korea, not since Korea and Vietnam, right? Yeah, Serbia had a UN resolution, right, to protect themselves, right? Kind of matters. I just asked ChatGPT. I'd rather talk to you, Templeton. And I also like the fact that we were all able to work it out amongst ourselves. Right? Patiently waiting for Epstein to drop the Epstein files, for Elon to drop the Epstein files and tell that he rigged the election. Oh, I think we're headed in that direction. We shall see. All right, there we go. So this is, Trump bombed Iran on behalf of Israel in coordination with them because he's fucked up the Iran deal we had and then couldn't get another one.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is?
A lie, a previous organization that exists, like the digital aspect of the White House that's been like a mini department that you change the name of.
Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look...
Yeah, there was no EV mandate. What he means is just emissions standards. Safety and anti-pollution standards that they just think are too high, and drift us towards electric vehicles or emission-free vehicles sooner than they would like to sell. I mean, or they would like to, and mainly this is about oil companies, not even car companies. Because I gotta tell you, car companies, if we had the infrastructure for charging stations and we built towards a faster charging system, we don't have to. It's like car companies give a shit. Wouldn't they rather not be on the hook for oil prices and the fluctuation of it? Wouldn't you just rather buy the vehicle instead of worrying about whether or not the basing your new car buy on whether or not it's gas prices are going to be through the roof or lower over the holiday season, shit like that? When you just want to buy a vehicle because it's a great vehicle that you can power anywhere with solar panels or off your house's grid or from an electric charger someplace, but it won't fluctuate with energy prices. Again, you could charge an electric car with solar panels from your own fucking house and a battery system in a way that you cannot create gas even if you had an oil rig in your backyard.
Not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric,
Maybe you don't have a driver's license, so sit the fuck down.
Hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem: it blows up.
No, it doesn't. And by the way, the reason he keeps bringing this up is because South Korea and Japan have been working on hydrogen as an energy source, and they're working towards solid hydrogen instead of gas hydrogen as a way of using, like these cartridges or stuff that you can put in a car. But even the hydrogen gas cars that that Honda's been working on, they've got a station in. It's down near El Segundo. It's close to the airport, Hawthorne, that kind of area where Honda's motorcycle headquarters is. They have a hydrogen station there for the hydrogen Honda cars, and they're fucking great. And you can shoot them with a 357 Magnum. It might puncture the engine and destroy it, but it won't make the tank blow up because they know it's compressed gas and they know that it's dangerous. It also, though, once a hydrogen car blows up or the fire happens on it, it's instantly out, unlike a lot of bad batteries on electric cars, which can burn for hours or days or reignite later.
So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out. The hydrogen cars, and when they blow up, it's serious. They find you 5 blocks away. It's that bad.
Also, any car you're in that blows up, they're going to find you all over the place.
Are there any countries we can expect to see before the July 9th deadline?
Everything's going well. Honestly, everything. This is very complicated because it's very big, a lot of different areas. Look, the Republicans have their heart in it. The Democrats they just want to destroy our country. A Democrat wants to destroy the country.
A Democrat wants to destroy the country by letting people vote. That's guilty as charged. Even if I hate this asshole, I still want him to be able to have a say in government because, I'm a Democrat. I believe everybody should have the right to vote. As long as you haven't legally forfeit that by being a murderer or a rapist or something and being a felon in jail, or you haven't done your time yet, or as long as you're a citizen over the age of 18, I want you to vote. And maybe that means I want to destroy the country. When it comes to maggots, it seems like it sometimes, but I don't.
They don't vote on it. They don't vote on anything.
They vote on a lot of stuff. They passed an infrastructure bill and the CHIPS Act. There's a huge extra giveaway in this big budget busting bill, an extension of an add-on to the CHIPS and Science Act funding that literally is it takes the cap on it and makes it basically unlimited. That's one of the reasons why it blows a hole in the budget, is because they were expecting at least some money coming in from the chip companies that were moving in. Trump has basically made it effectively free. And that's one of the reasons Chip Roy and those guys are flipping out, because that was added to the bill.
The biggest tax cut in history.
No, it isn't. It's the same. It's maintaining the one that we already have.
Everything is the biggest in history.
Yes, biggest addition to the debt in history, biggest raise in the debt ceiling in history. Yeah. Biggest gap in Medicaid coverage in history.
The best bill
biggest number of dead people caused by a single bill
we've ever had. We can't get one Democrat vote.
Right, and I would like to applaud the Democrats for telling him to go fuck himself. Not a one. Why should you care, asshole? I thought you had a mandate. right? Didn't you have a mandate? Didn't you, wasn't it a historic win? You won 7 swing states and all this stuff. I don't understand why why any Republicans aren't interested in voting for whatever the fuck you want with your mandate, right? Why would you care if Democrats don't want to vote that way? You should have plenty of Republicans lining up to do it. They should be fucking whistling like munchkins.
When do you think you'll get final? When do you think you'll get final?
Nice guy, Peter. What do you think?
Very nice guy.
When do you think you'll get final passage of the bill?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully today, if we can. Final passage. When I say final, let's take Senate at a time, okay?
Right. Final passage is after the House. The Senate passed it.
But I think Senate should be today, and we go over to the House.
And what about Senator Murkowski? Is there any way to placate her?
Who knows? You tell me. You tell me. Is there? Alaska's done so well with me. There's never been a president better to Alaska than me.
Why, how do you even begin to unpack how stupid that is? Based on what? Drilling? Allowing for drilling?
But it doesn't mean people appreciate it. Have a good time.
And this ends up being, like, you can't hear it. Yeah. Yeah, that part gets, obviously it's audio issues. Not that he's saying anything valuable, I'd like to remind you.